in a word.
We've got to sing with our hearts, make a melody, teaching others with the song that we sing. We've got to sing with our hearts, make a melody, praise the Lord and teach His word. Now we all want our songs to sound good, want each voice to sing the note that it should, but we must also sing with our hearts. It doesn't matter if we can sing the right part. We've got to sing with our hearts, make a melody, teaching others with the song that we sing. We've got to sing with our hearts, make a melody, praise the Lord and teach His word. Now you might say that your voice is bad, and you ain't got the voice that you once had, but God has told His children to sing, so lift your voice to heaven and let it ring. We've got to sing with our hearts, make the melody, teaching others with the song that we sing. We've got to sing with our hearts, make a melody, praise the Lord and teach His word. We've got to sing with our hearts, make a melody, teaching others with the song that we sing. We've got to sing with our hearts, make a melody, praise the Lord and teach His word. We've got to sing it with our hearts.
And now let's take 5 minutes for faith.
I'm just thinking about Leviticus chapter 18 and part of the Old Law. And the Old Law, of course, well, gives us insight into the heart of God and can be so very helpful. The fact of the matter is there are lots of things in the New Testament that we really can't fully understand without appreciating and understanding something about the Old Testament. Well, in Leviticus 18 and 20, we read these words. He's talking about sins that separate people from their God and things He prohibits. Listen to this list. Moreover, you shall not lie carnally with your neighbor's wife to defile yourself with her. Adultery. And you shall not let any of your descendants pass through the fire to Molech, that's an idol, nor shall you profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. So don't use God's name in vain, he says, and don't sacrifice your children, murder your children in sacrifice to Molech or to an idol. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. In other words, homosexuality is prohibited. It is an abomination, he says. Nor shall you mate with any animal. There's bestiality. To defile yourself with it. Nor shall any woman stand before an animal to mate with it. It's perversion. Don't defile yourselves with any of these things, for by all these the nations are defiled, which I am casting out before you. For the land is defiled. Therefore I visit the punishment of its iniquity upon it, and the land vomits out its own inhabitants. It's abomination. Here are things which to God are abominations. Now, pull out one of them for our consideration. Homosexuality. Lying with a man as with a woman, he describes it. You know, Romans chapter 1 of the New Testament describes the practice of homosexuality as vile affection and condemns it in similar terms as the Old Testament. I think what we need to do is just to go ahead and admit that the Bible condemns the practice of homosexuality. We got to come to grips with that reality. But that's not the end of the discussion. Think about the concept of temptation, because I think what's being promoted in the practice of homosexuality, socially and politically today, has something to say to the issue of temptation. Now, James chapter 1 and verse 14 of the New Testament says that every man is tempted of his own lust and enticed. That is to say that what tempts you may not tempt me. Jesus Himself was tempted, Matthew chapter 4. It's not a sin to be tempted, it's a sin to carry out that temptation and then to actually sin, right? Now, the interesting thing about the subject of homosexuality and the practice of homosexuality is that we've sort of let society tell us that this temptation is special. This temptation is unique to all the others, because if a man or a woman is tempted to commit this sin, if they have the temptation, then it is wrong for us to prohibit them or to discourage them from practicing this. Because if they're tempted, that defines who they are. We don't believe that about any other temptation, I don't think. I mean, say for example, a man says, you know, I know that I'm sleeping with your wife, but what you don't, I know you're mad about it. You're unhappy with me about sleeping with your wife. But see, you don't understand. See, I was reared in a dysfunctional home. My father was hardly ever there, and you know what? He slept with other women too. Truth of the matter, I can't remember a time, I mean, since I was a boy, I never ever wanted my own wife. I always wanted to sleep with other men's wives. I'm just that way. That's who I am. Now, how would you respond to that? I mean, if you were the husband, how would you respond to that? I guess you would say, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't understand that's your identity. That's who you are. Adultery is adultery. And you would take action that you thought was fitting with a man who was sleeping with your wife. The point is that just because you're tempted to this, I mean, whatever the background, whatever the issues are, temptation is never a license for sin. We've never believed that. The Bible doesn't, it's just not true. But what's happened is we've let advocates of this sin of homosexuality suggest to us that if a person is tempted to the sin, then we must grant license. The problem with that is that you don't really love people when you say such things, because we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ. And a man who lives in adultery cannot have heaven. A man who lives in the practice of homosexuality can't have heaven. That's not true because I say it. It doesn't matter what I think. It is true because that's what the Bible teaches and says very plainly. Read Romans chapter 1 and then quit listening to the world that says, if you're tempted with this sin, you have license, and nobody has any right to tell you different. Have a great day.
Speech on. Page 1 of 3. Selected. Screen recording. Button.